It's time for a new poem. Yes, in this crazy world, new poems are being created. There's a lot of information out there and a lot of misinformation, but poems are still being created because the most important thing you can do nowadays is create a poem, even if nobody's going to listen to it. But, anyways, here is a new poem because the world needs new poems. It needs new creations. It needs new poetry until humans are unfortunately extinct one day. But if a human being breathes and continues to breathe, then let there be new poetry until the last human. Hopefully the last human will want to do poetry. Hopefully the last human will not be a person who will not create poetry. Let the last human being on this planet be someone that will want to create poetry. Because imagine the last human being on the planet does not want to create poetry, then poetry will be dead. And poetry should not die until all human beings die. But maybe aliens do poetry as well. I'm not sure. But even if all humans go extinct, maybe some sort of smart animal or an alien can continue to do the poetry. I mean, poetry can't go extinct. Poetry has been going on for millions of years. It just can't go extinct. Hopefully some other race or species will continue the poetic ways. Because I don't want a poem to die. Do you want a poem to die? Just think about it. Do you want poetry to die in this rambling? Do you want poetry to really die? Do you really want, or do you want poetry to be passed on onwards and onwards throughout all the generations, to all the species? Maybe the aliens can take on poetry, like I said earlier. I know, but it's time for a new poem because you still need new poetry. No matter what is going on in the world, no matter what craziness is going on in the world, you still need new poetry because new poetry is really beautiful because somehow, some way, even though the words, they are all the same, sometimes it seems some new thought or feeling or emotion can be created through a new poem. So please, into the last human, continue to create poetry because we need it more than ever. And then maybe one day aliens will do poetry too, and then maybe we can share poetry with aliens and see what kind of alien poems they do. But if there's ever a last human, continue to do poetry until last human, or else it'll be tragedy if poetry dies before its time, if there are no more humans, and if there are no aliens that actually do poetry or even heard of poetry. So continue to do new poetry. There's always time for a new poem. Never forget that.